Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. It's been a while since I've done a video, over a week now, and so I thought it was time. I do apologize for the lack of videos this last week. As many of you know, I am a school teacher, middle school social studies, and this last week we got our first week of school in, and of course my middle school football team got going also, and just the extra time it takes, to do videos and then to do school and to do coaching, it just got a little hectic and I did not get any videos done, and I do apologize for that. I do not want to make that a habit. I want to try to get videos out every other day if I can. And so anyway, sorry about that. But here we go. I wanted to get one out this morning, and I had been over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks or so, I'd been collecting some odds and ends, and so I wanted to do a book haul and then show you a couple other items that I have picked up along the way. And so what I think I want to start off with, let's get the toys out of the way. I always like to show you my new Hot Wheels or Matchbox cars that I picked up. And all three of these that I picked up are all Hot Wheels, but I was pretty pumped when I found them. I thought they were pretty cool. This was a Volkswagen Beetle that I found, and a nice little addition to my Hot Wheel collection. And then I found a 55 Chevy. I thought that was pretty sweet. And then I also found a 57 Chevy. Now, I've always loved the 57 Chevy with the fins on the back and everything. I used to have one of these when I was a kid that was like a cherry red with white, I don't think they were racing stripes. I don't think we'd call it that, but white stripes down the side of the car. And it was, like I said, cherry red. And it was a very unique car of mine for my collection. And I want to say I still have it. I just don't know where it's at in my upstairs room. But it was my favorite car. I had two cars, that one and I don't remember the year, but it was an old Ford pickup and from the 50s, and I absolutely loved it. And so anytime I see like a 57 Chevy or something even close, I always pick it up just because I think they're pretty cool. But anyway, those are my new Hot Wheels that I got. Here is my other non-bookish item that I wanted to show you. There was a company that contacted me about reviewing a history game. Being a history teacher, I thought that would be pretty good, and I thought that was pretty cool that they had wanted my opinion on this. And so they'd actually contacted Peg first, and then I got recommended along the way. And so we are going to be looking at this game, Trekking Through History. And hopefully Peg and I are going to maybe put together a video, talking about this game and give you a short review. And it's a very well put together game. I think it's very eye-appealing. I think it's pretty neat. I have not had a chance. I can't really tell you much about it because I opened it up, looked at the pieces, but I didn't go through the directions and try to actually play it yet. That is coming hopefully this week, and I'll get a good idea of what that game is all about. So those were my non-bookish items. So now let me show you my more bookish items. I'll start with a couple magazines that I picked up, or were sent in the mail, actually. 3 of them in the mail, one I found. But I got my new Civil War Monitor magazine in the mail, and of course it's got my man Lincoln on the front, so I'm very, very pumped about that. Anytime I see stuff with Lincoln, goes well with my collection. But very excited to read that. Some of the main articles in this month's magazine is Antietam After the Storm, The Perils of Nursing. That's always interesting. Matter of fact, I'm reading Stillness at Appomattox by Bruce Catton, and the chapter I read this morning was all about between the Battle of the Wilderness and Spotsylvania, and then all the hospitals that were having to be put up, and the conditions of those hospitals. So that The Perils of Nursing I think may go, and like I said, I haven't read it yet, but it should go maybe hand in hand with that. And then, let's see, faced with a nation on the verge of civil war, Abraham Lincoln used his first inaugural address as a last-ditch effort to avert bloodshed. And of course, that was a very unique speech. And then his second inaugural was just an absolutely beautiful speech, but really good. And it's got 5 Civil War books in the back, reviews. And so very excited to have that. I have got, let's see, the summer and fall biblical archaeological review. And so I'm looking forward to getting into this. I'm pretty sure I didn't show you this one. I think I accidentally put it on the side and forgot to put it in one of my book hauls earlier in the year. But this is, and I'm going to probably butcher this name, so you're going to have to apologize, or I'm going to have to apologize, but Merneptah's Wrath and the Destruction of Gezer. And so, you know, this looks like this will be pretty good. I always like the archaeology stuff. That's what we're covering in my world history class. You know, and these magazines are just absolutely wonderful. They've got great photography of different things going on in the field of archaeology. And this, like I said, this will go well with my world history class here at the beginning of the years, covering some stuff with archaeology, just so the kids understand how the written record, or the current written record, gets put together by pieces of the past. You know, we describe it with archaeology and ancient history. We describe it like a puzzle missing a lot of pieces. And on top of that, you don't have the front picture for the puzzle that you know, on the box that you could copy off of. So that was kind of my way of describing what archaeology is like. So anyway, here is, or at least ancient archaeology. Here is the biblical archaeology. Oh my goodness. You know, if I did a whole lot of editing, that would have disappeared, but I don't, so you're going to have to deal with that. Let's try this again. Biblical Archaeology Review, and this one is Pilgrims and Immigrants in Ancient Jerusalem. And so this is the fall magazine for this year. And so real excited to look at those and get into those. Like I said, just got wonderful photography inside of them, and just good stuff, and hopefully maybe that can add into my world history class a little bit. Now, the very last magazine I picked up, now this is an old magazine. This is from September of 1994. It's American Heritage. When I go to Books Revisited, when I go on my book hunting expeditions, Books Revisited, when they get magazines donated to the store, they give those away for free. And so they have like a big box full of magazines. And so I will find like National Geographic, I'll find occasionally American history or Civil War history magazines. That's pretty rare. If they're donated, I don't ever get there in time. They're usually picked through. But often they have National Geographic, and then they have the American Heritage magazines. And I always pick those up, and I have a whole stack of them in my classroom because they've got nice little articles that are, you know, pretty scholarly, and the kids can relate to a lot of it. But this one looked interesting. It's got Jacqueline Kennedy and the Johnsons, their unknown friendship. It's got the perils of the new revisionism. It's got the United States started the Cold War. That sounds interesting. We should have made peace with Hitler. I don't know about that. And then the last one is the one that really caught my attention, and it's America Was Crazy to Have Entered the First World War. And that one's interesting to me right now because I'm doing a buddy read with Peg on Catastrophe 1914, Max Hastings' book about the beginnings of World War I. Now, obviously, the United States didn't join in 1914. They didn't join until 1917, but I still think that's going to be fascinating for me. So I was very happy to pick that up for free. And now, with all that said and done, here comes the books. I got 5 new books that I picked up. And I say new, they're used, but they're in really good condition. So this first one, I got this at the Friends of the Library book cart when I went to our local library. They'll have various books of various genres. And if it's an adult book, you pay $1 or you donate $1 for the book. If it's a kid's book, it's 50 cents. And so I found a couple of different books. This one is a biography. This is Jim Bridger, Mountain Man, and it's by Stanley Vestal. And I have never read, I've got a couple of biographies on Jim Bridger, but I've never read any of them yet. I collect these things, and then I sometimes forget to get them read, or I just have so many of them I can't get to them fast enough. But this is from the University of Nebraska Press, so university presses are always good. This is out of Lincoln, and it is from, let's see, original copyright of 1946. This printing is 1970. So it's in really, really good condition. I mean, it's almost on the shelf quality. I got maybe a little ding on the corner there, but that's nothing. So I was very excited to pick that up. That's going to be good. I guess I could read the back. There's not a whole lot on the back for you. It says, even among the mighty mountain men, Jim Bridger was a towering figure. He was one of the greatest explorers and pathfinders in American history. He couldn't write his name, but at 18, he had braved the fury of the Missouri, ascending it in a keelboat flotilla commanded by that stalwart Mike Fink. By 1824, when he was only 20, he had discovered the Great Salt Lake. Later, he was to open the overland route, which was the path of the overland stage, the Pony Express, and the Union Pacific. One of the foremost trappers in the Rocky Mountain Fur Company, he was a legend in his own time as well as ours. He remains one of the most important scouts and guides in the history of the West. So, like I said, very excited to read that. Should be really good, and doesn't look like it would take all that long. It's about 300 pages of reading. Well, it might be right at 300. Yeah, right at 300 pages of reading, and then it's got some appendix and index, of course, but that'll be good. Now, picked this one up off the cart also, and this book, my family really enjoys watching Little House on the Prairie, and it's a family friendly show, and we have read all of the books with our older daughter. We have read some of the stuff with my younger daughter. She's still a little bit young, so I don't know if she's quite ready for it, but she enjoys the show. And this is Laura, The Life of Laura Ingalls Wilder by Donald Zokert. So got a nice biography here of Laura Ingalls Wilder. I was happy to pick that up. This is Henry Regnery Company out of Chicago, and it is 1976. Now it's old. It's got a little bit of wear, but it's still got some reading in it. Again, this is basically a biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder. So I was happy to add that one to the collection. That'll go well with my family's reading. A couple weeks back, my family was at Dollar General, and sometimes Dollar General, they have books in there, and they're for just a couple of bucks. And sometimes you can pick out a diamond in the rough. You might find a remainder mark on it, but that doesn't bother me. My collection's all used stuff anyway for the most part, so those things never really bother me. This book I found was Author in Chief, The Untold Story of Our Presidents and the Books They Wrote, by Craig Fairman. Fairman, yeah. I thought this sounded, I picked it up, walked away from it, picked it up, walked away from it, and then I came back to it a third time. For some reason, it kind of struck my fancy, and I thought it sounded pretty interesting. It's from Avid Reader Press out of New York, and it is from the year 2020, so it's a fairly new book. Now, let me read the cover to you. It says, most Americans are familiar with Abraham Lincoln's famous words in the Gettysburg Address and the Emancipation Proclamation. Yet few can name the work that helped him win the presidency. His published collection of speeches entitled Political Debates Between the Honorable Abraham Lincoln and the Honorable Stephen A. Douglas. Lincoln labored in secret to get his book ready for the 1860 election. tracking down newspaper transcripts, editing them carefully for fairness, and hunting for a printer who would meet his specifications. Political Debates sold 50,000 copies, the rough equivalent of 500,000 books in today's market. And it reveals something about Lincoln's presidential ambitions. But it also reveals something about his heart and mind. When voters asked about his beliefs, Lincoln liked to point them to his book. In Craig Fairman's groundbreaking work of history, Author-in-Chief, The Story of America's Presidents and Their Books opens a rich new window into the presidential biography. From volumes lost to history, Calvin Coolidge's autobiography, which is one of the most widely discussed titles of 1929, to one we know and love, Barack Obama's Dreams from My Father, which was very nearly never published. Fairman unearths countless insights about the presidents through their literary works. Presidential books have made an enormous impact on American history, catapulting their authors to the national stage and even turning key elections. Beginning with Thomas Jefferson's Notes on the State of Virginia, the first presidential book to influence a campaign, and John Adams's autobiography, the first score-settling presidential memoir, Author-in-Chief draws on newly uncovered information, including never-before-published letters from Andrew Jackson, John F. Kennedy, and Ronald Reagan to cast fresh light on the private drives and self-doubts that fueled our nation's leaders. We see Teddy Roosevelt, known today for his rugged self-confidence as a vulnerable first-time author struggling to write the book that would become a classic of American history. We see Reagan painstakingly revising Where's the Rest of Me, a forgotten memoir in which he sharpened his sunny political image. We see Donald Trump negotiating the deal for the art of the deal, the volume that made him synonymous with business savvy. Alongside each of these authors, we also glimpse the everyday Americans who read them. For as long as we've had presidents, it turns out we as a country have been eager to read and debate what they write. Combining the narrative felicity of a journalist with the rigorous scholarship of a historian, Fairman presents hundreds of new stories, scenes, quotations, and telling details to create an unprecedented and surprisingly human take on our highest leaders. Authors-in-Chief is a feast for history lovers, book lovers, and everybody curious about a behind-the-scenes look at our presidents. So that sounded interesting to me. Kind of a bookish book, really, looking at our presidents and their stories. So these next two I found, let's see, this would have been Saturday, 2 days ago when I went to our library in the Friends of the Library book cart again, and I found these two books and, paid $1 for each of them and was happy to get them. The first one is James Swanson, and it's End of Days, The Assassination of John F. Kennedy. And many of you may have read his book Manhunt about Lincoln and John Wilkes Booth, and I was glad to put this in. I enjoyed. I'm pretty sure I read that. I thought I read the Manhunt book. I'm pretty positive I did, and I enjoyed that. So I was thinking that this must be pretty good too, the one on Kennedy. And if I haven't read it, then I guess I'll read them back to back and see which one I like best. But I could have swore I read that one. So very glad to have that one. Of course, that's on the assassination, obviously. And that is, I guess I forgot to, let me get the publisher here, William Moreau from HarperCollins, and it is a 2013 book. So very happy to have that. And then the last one in the stack, this one is, to me, could be very, very interesting. This is The Other Greeks, The Family Farm and the Agrarian Roots of Western Civilization by Victor Davis Hanson, and it's got a new preface and bibliographic essay. Now, this is probably not for everybody. This is probably more scholarly. So it'll be, I don't know if I want to call it drier read, but I know not everybody would like this book. But for me, I think I would really like it. I like those things in history that are about the everyday life of people. So like I like reading about, wartime and the presidents and stuff, but I also like reading what was going on during the war, life at home on the home front. And Peg and I were talking about that because that Catastrophe 1914 book covers some of that. And I know I was talking about that in my Voxer message with her, is I just like that life on the home front. This book sounds like it's going to be a little bit like that life on the home front. It is from the University of California Press, and it is a 1999 printing. And let me read the back cover, and then you'll maybe get an idea of what I'm talking about. And it says, for generations, scholars have focused on the Greek city-state and its brilliant cosmopolitan culture as the ultimate source of the Western tradition in literature, philosophy, and politics. The passionate book leads us outside the city walls to the countryside, where the majority of the Greek citizenry lived, to find the true source of the cultural wealth of Greek civilization. Victor Hansen shows that the Greek Revolution was not the rise of a free, democratic, urban culture, but rather the historic innovation of the independent family farm. The farmers, vine growers, and herdsmen of ancient Greece are the other Greeks who form the backbone of the Hellenic civilization. It was these fiercely independent agrarians, Hansen contends, who gave Greek culture its emphasis on private property, constitutional government, and individual rights. Hansen's reconstruction of ancient Greek farm life, informed by hands-on knowledge of the subject, he is a fifth-generation California vine and fruit grower, is fresh, comprehensive, and absorbing. So I look forward to this book. I think to me, it's probably going to be really, really interesting. Again, maybe not for everybody, but yeah, I'm excited to read it. It did have a little bit of gunk on it, but that'll be easy. I can get a wipe and clean that book up. There was a couple of spots on it, but it's in, other than those little spots, it's in like brand new condition. And for a college book, to me, that's kind of a big deal because these can go for high dollar. So anyway, BookTube, that is the stack of books that I got over the last few weeks. Very happy to have them. I've been really working on my, I told you a few weeks back, my TBR elimination project. So I have a whole list of books that I've been working on for what was my summer TBR. And those books are also found in some of my earlier TBRs because they kind of doubled and tripled up a little bit. But I've been working really hard on that, and I have finished a handful of them, and I'm going to make a video later in the week talking about that. I'll probably do like an end of summer wrap up on everything I got read, and then, kind of match those up for you with my TBR list and show you that I am making a little bit of progress on that. So I'm real tickled about that. So I hope everyone's having had a great weekend and going to have a great week. I know I am. I absolutely love my classes, the kids that I've got in them. I think it's going to be a really fun school year. The kids are excited about being back, and I'm excited about being there, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. Our football season got kicked off this last Friday night, and the boys the varsity boys won their first ball game in a really big way, and we got JV playing tonight, and then this Friday we're at home for the first time, and then next week, my middle school will get going, and so it just the sports teams have gotten going, and our volleyball got going also, and it's been fun. A lot of school spirit. Got a lot of new kids in our school, and it's always good to have a growing population with your school. So yeah, that's my story in a nutshell. So I hope, like I said, I hope everyone's doing great. Let me know if you've read any of those books. Let me know what you think, and thank you for staying with me for it's almost 25 minutes, it looks like. So if you've stayed this long, I appreciate it, and I hope everyone has a wonderful week. And until next time, BookTube, happy reading.